Hello and welcome to another episode of Statford Bridge, Chelsea by the numbers. We're going to talk about Jorrel Hato. This one is not going to be as long as the Xavi Simons video. There's really not that much to say about Jorrel Hato, which is going to be disappointing to some people, but we'll get through the data and we'll get there. So, most interesting, not that interesting. Hato is either a conservative fullback, so like a guy who stays mostly home to defend, or is a fairly aggressive center back. He spent basically all of the 23-24 season playing center back, left of a two, and played the entire 24-25 season as a left back and a back four. A lot of the time in that back four, he would stay home to build in a three, but not all the time. He didn't do very much inverting really at all. Maybe situationally, but it wasn't like a clear strategy that Ajax employed. And there's a couple things that stand out. One, passing percentage is very, very high, both seasons, both positions. Now, you may say, Kieran, passing accuracy, this is not 2007 analytics. But I think when we're thinking about the role that he's going to be asked to do, it's a valuable skill to not turn the ball over. Like rule number one of being a young player who gets on the field is like, don't cost your team goals. And a defender who doesn't turn the ball over very often, that's pretty important. There's a second thing that stands out much more in the season as a fullback than as a center back. His percentage of dribblers tackled is very, very high. He wins a lot of his tackles in both positions. When you adjust for possession, he's a very high activity in terms of tackles defender. And he does not foul very frequently. Those are, again, all valuable skills. When you kind of evaluate him out, first off, he's played a little bit more than left back than center back, but he has played basically only those two positions in senior football. When you think about comparing him to someone like Renato Vega, I think Vega was probably too center backy to do the left back parts of the role that he was being asked of. Whereas Hato, I think, is a much more equal or much more appropriate blend of fullback center back skills for the role that is being asked of him, which is Mark Cucurella's understudy. And the left back to left center back role, I don't think he'll be asked to invert very often. When we look at Davies, the figure on the right here, and you compare him to average wide defenders, so those are center backs in a back three or defensive fullbacks that are under 25, you see his season as a center back, he popped significantly more, mostly due to his passing and his ball winning. Now, some of that is how these metrics work. Just by virtue of like winning the ball closer to your goal, it looks like you are a better ball winner because, again, closer to goal is more valuable. So, like, if you clear a header in the middle of your 6-yard box, that is more valuable than clearing a header at the back of your 6-yard box where a fullback might. So that's part of it. But he added a ton of value as a passer when he played center back, which I think is a good thing to see. And he was about league average as a passer, a little bit better than league average as a passer when he played at left back, but fairly useful. When we look kind of at the pass maps in general, you see a couple things. One, it's a lot of safe passes. Again, very high pass completion percentages, 85%, 92%. He completes a quite high percentage of his progressive passes, 63 and 70%. Now, again, if you think about that in relation to some of the more aggressive attacking players we've seen who are like 50% progressive pass completion rate, obviously they're further forward, they're trying to pass into the box. But the main pass we see in Hato's arsenal is like, I play straight to a winger's feet. And that's okay, it's a safe pass. He completes somewhat more than his expectation. He adds like a decent amount of value just in terms of the amount of yards he gains as a passer. Not amazing, but not bad either. But he is not like Levi Colwill as a passer. I think actually, as a comparison, like Mark Cucurella is a good comp as a passer because Mark Cucurella is not a great passer. He is a stable passer, but he's not a good passer. And when you watch the video, you see a couple tools in the bag. So the long passing is not bad. His weight of pass is pretty good. He can play like clipped ones into a 9. He does not really hit depth. It's much more into an attacker's feet. I personally hate this kind of pass where, like, yeah, I'm going to break the line and I'm going to get it into your feet, and that's great. But it's also going to be bouncing at knee height, and you're going to have a center back hammering you from behind. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. The weight is fine, but it's at knee height. So, like, tough. But you'll see, like, the clipped ones, pretty good. Like, he can definitely play into a 9. And then you can see when he tries to play in depth, it's not bad, but they're pretty frequently underhit. I think when he is central, he's a pretty good line breaker. You see kind of movements like this where like he receives pressure from the outside, breaks a line to a fullback, no problem. Here's another one a little bit further advanced, break a line. Like that's a pass he will have to hit at Chelsea, right? You can think maybe it's Xavi Simons in that pocket, but you are in the 3 building, circulating in the attacking half against the team you're expected to be better than, the team that you might rotate Mark Cucurella against, and he can hit that pocket pass. It's not amazing, it's not consistent, it's not there all the time, but he can hit it. Again, centrally, the line breaking stuff is not so bad. One of the things that like wasn't really there at all in the in possession game, you'll see a few clips of it here, but it's not there frequently. I was expecting him to use his burst as an athlete to break lines and then make easier passes because of this. Where like you watch him when he defends and like the dude's an athlete. And I don't want to reduce him to his athleticism, but you compare him to like Wesley Fofana, who is not a great passer, but is a very good dribbler as a center back, and he will bait this pressure and then dribble past the 9 and use this winger. Oh, great, I've now opened up a much easier lane with one touch and a dribble. And like that's good. That's nice stuff. You don't see it that often in his game. I hope to see it more, but it's there. You'll see a lot of stuff that's just like straight out to the winger's feet. It's safe. It's reliable. I don't want to say anyone can hit that pass, but anyone can hit that pass. The weight is fine. He has a little bit of like bomb forward pop. It's not there all the time, but it was there in the Dutch games I watched more than in the Ajax games I watched, where like he will play the winger and I am making the channel run to bring people with me. This is very Mark Cucurella. Sometimes you need to do this again against more compact blocks. It's definitely there. But again, I find him somewhat fine. He's just fine. Like there's a little burst and a nice move in between. There's another one where you burst between the lines and like this ends up in actually a quite nice pass into depth with his right foot. Like this to me was probably the nicest in possession action of all of the clips I watched, which is basically every progressive pass he hit for 2 years. It's okay. It's not spectacular. It's fine. Now, the thing with that is like Mark Cucurella is also just fine. If you look in terms of progressive passes, it's about the same. That's not entirely shocking. He completes a higher number of passes. I'd say he's probably a bit safer as a passer. Carries, very similar to Mark Cucurella. This is a very similar, when you adjust for the league quality differences here, I think that's a reasonable representation of someone who should be a backup for Mark Cucurella, and that's okay, right? The reality is when you are shopping in this market for a 19-year-old backup left back, left center back in a pretty unique, not unique, but it's a specific tactical role, like that's fine. The place where I think he differs pretty significantly from Cucurella is as a defender. He is very, very good when he chooses to be proactive. Mark Cucurella is someone who I would say is extremely proactive as a defender. He's jumping in, he's winning counter presses, he's nipping in for loose balls, and like sometimes gets beat because of this. Hato is really, really good when he does that, but he does not do that very frequently. He skews extremely reactive defensively, where he wants to let guys try to run him. He wants to use his pace defensively. His recovery pace is very good. He turns dangerous transitions into less dangerous ones. Um, but there's like not everything there. Like you see the percentage of dribblers tackled, and you're like, this guy is a Juan Bissaka level shutdown fullback. Absolutely not the case. Um, he is very good at using his physicality defensively, so much so that it very much kind of is the only tool in the bag. Like his footwork isn't great in 1v1s, and he particularly, and this is very similar to like early career Cucurella, he struggles so much with guys who go inside when they try to go 1v1. Like the left foot cut in, it's a little bit Emerson. If you think back to Emerson, left foot cut inside, he takes really bad angles and gives up some really nasty 1v1s. But like here's the proactive stuff. Like when he gets to do center backy things defensively, I think he looks really nice. Like direct play into a 9, he's pretty strong. He's good at nipping in. This is him against Lamine Yamal. He had a really good game against Spain in that game. Here's another one. This is against St. Gilloise, Union St. Gilloise in Europa League. Like ball in. I'm going to jump out. I'm going to force you backwards. You try and turn me. We're going to win. Another direct ball into an attacker. We're going to win. Another ball into an attacker. I'm going to jump it. Like that stuff really pops. Really, really, really pops on the video. And it's useful. It's very useful. And I think that side of things, with respect to Cucurella, very well represented. But I think what you'll see is like the actual like 1v1 stuff is not as good as the data would suggest. Like here you have a 1v1 against the winger. Great win. Awesome. No problem. You had help. We're good. Here, like what are you playing in the 1v1 here? And again, it's Lamal, and it's a somewhat chaotic situation. But like what do you want here? Do you want to play into a 2v2 in a wide area? Do you want to force him into help? Are you delaying? I don't know, because we do none of them. And that's not great. Here's another one where like doesn't take a very good angle against Lamal. Like again, it's hard because we're zoomed in, but like have you watched this guy play? Like do you think he's going to try and run you to the line? Because like I don't think that's really what Lamal is going to do. And like, oh, your footwork is now toast. You're like turning, you're spinning, you're lunging. You get a little bit lucky with a bad touch and it ends up in a turnover. Here's another one where like great recovery pace to turn a dangerous transition into a less dangerous one. But then actually I'm going to get squared up and I'm going to dive in, and then actually it bounces and now we're here, and then it's this dangerous moment. And another one where like over commits to defend the line. I get chopped and now I have to make a dangerous challenge. So far, you'd be like, Kieran, this guy stinks. I think you're saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. The proactive stuff is very good. And when he can get into situations where like we're racing, we're athletes who are you're gonna take a big touch to the line and we're gonna race to the line, he is deadly. He is so good in those situations where here's a winger, step over, boom, we're gonna go to the line. No, you're not. I won the duel. Here's another one. We're gonna go line. Okay, I don't take great feet. Not an amazing spot. You want to go line? I have you. We're good. This is not dangerous. I block. But again, you get the left foot. Oh, he's not going to go line this time. I didn't take a great angle. I'm definitely not forcing him anywhere. Like this winger can go wherever he wants. There is no direction forced here. Right? If you think about how a fullback has to approach this situation, if you go one step inside and you know you're faster than him, if he's going to cut inside, he has to go the super long way around, and it's not a dangerous situation anymore. You give up the risk of him beating you to the line because you give him that extra step. But if you are like Jorrel, super fast and super strong, and when he takes the big touch, you're going to get an arm across, and you're going to boom, and you're going to win the race, great. That's the right way to approach that situation. We see it with Van Dijk all the time, where like Van Dijk lays off, lets you take the big touch, and then weight rooms you. But when you go neutral, is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? He has the space to do either. You don't choose, and now you are reacting, and you will see he gets to his left foot. And like, this is not an amazing shot, but it's not a bad shot. It's a pretty good spot to actually get the cut in, given where the 1v1 starts. So you have to be pretty cognizant of that as a flaw. So like when I'm thinking about even the one before, right? Like the one before, you compare the angle he takes, it's one step where like if he's going to go line, you're going to be fine. And if he's going to cut inside, you're narrow enough that when he takes this touch, you can contest, right? Like he at no point works the space to get the shot because you are one step and he has to go the long way around. Regardless, the point being like he's fast and he's strong and he's a quite good 1v1 defender in some situations. I would be much more willing to like rotate him in situations where the opposition is playing a right-footed right winger, and not a left-footed right winger. Obviously, you have to think about like who you're playing against and where they are in the table and all of those things and how does he improve and blah 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 blah. But like, it's a small consideration that I would have. The last thing to be mindful of is like he's pretty good. He's quite good in the air for a fullback. He's probably undersized for the center back, particularly in the Premier League. But as like a left back at the back post, he's not going to get dunked on the way sometimes Cucurella does at the back post. It happens. He is like competent in the air. He is, again, not Renato Vega. He is not Benoit Badiashile. He is not Levi Colwill in the air, but he is like competent as a back post aerial defender. So where does that leave us? The dude can defend a little bit. He has some holes. He has some things he needs to work on. He's probably a little bit reliant on his pace. But he is 19. He's played over 100 pro games, or pretty close to 100 pro games, which is a lot. That's very real. Like being able to get on the field that much for a decent team is a sign of at least something. So what do we have as like comparables for this deal? Because one of the things I've complained about a lot this summer is price. If you look at Eredivisie center backs or fullbacks moving out of the league, all three of these were from Ajax. You also have Davinson Sanchez, who was a little bit earlier. But you have Jurrien Timber, who moves for £35 million. He makes about £5 million at Arsenal. You have De Ligt, who moves from Ajax to Juventus for £75 million. He was making about 10. Lisandro Martinez goes to United, £50 million, making about 6. If the price was like Lisandro Martinez price, I'd be like, oh my God, no, he is not close to ready. Martinez was a considerably better player in the Eredivisie, older, but considerably better, and has been worse in the Premier League. No, thank you. De Ligt was like a totally different tier of prospect, so it's fine. Like, there's not that much relevance there. But the deal that I really had my eye on the whole time was Timber, where Timber was a little bit older. He was like, I think 3 years older when he made the move. Ajax were a lot better when he was there. They won the leagues. He won Player of the Season one of the years. He was a little bit further along. He plays on the right, not the left, so there's a price decrease there. He was a little bit older, but he was a considerably better player than Hato is now. I think that was a pretty good transfer comp of like, that's the number I would like to pay to do this deal. I think the wages will probably end up being similar. My guess is Hato will actually be a little bit less than 5, probably like 3 point, high 3s, low 4s a year, something like that. But it sounds like the fee is going to be very similar to the Timber fee, which was a few years ago, and I think that's a pretty reasonably priced. Now, one of the things I have talked about on this podcast a lot is like, do you want to spend money on backups? Do you want to use your finite financial resources on players that you can produce yourself or not produce yourself or whatever? And I think actually when you think about this one, it's a pretty, not niche, but it's a very specific tactical role that you want for your squad, right? Like you want the left back who drops into the three. They don't have anyone else in the squad who does it except for Cucurella. They don't have any backup left back. Vega could do it. You're moving on Vega. A lot of people have talked about Ishe Samuel Smith. I have not been particularly impressed in the single digit times I have watched him. That's not true. It's probably closer to like 10 times. But across the 2 years that I have watched him, not super impressed with him. Like, I certainly do not think he is the level of prospect that he should be like significantly impacting first team planning. He was sold today to Strasbourg for £6.5 million. Is the number that was reported by Bobby Vincent. And I think that's fine. I think that's okay. And behind him, there is certainly not the cavalcade of left backs that once was with Ian Maatsen and Lewis Hall. And so I look at it, and if Lewis Hall was still at Chelsea, I would be screaming from the rooftops, what are you doing? However, he is not. And I think this is a totally fine deal to do at a reasonable price for a good prospect with clear developmental upside, but also things that he needs to work on. I would be very, very, very surprised if he cleared 1590s at Chelsea next season. Very surprised. But I think if you compare him to like Josh Achimpong, I think Josh Achimpong is better, right? I think that's actually a very good comparison as well. I think Josh is better. And I think if you were to price a deal for Josh, it would actually be quite similar to this Hato deal. But that's where I'm at. It's a well-priced deal for a good young player who fits a position of need in a role that makes a lot of tactical sense. He's probably the best prospect in the age bracket for the fit. I think there were other, maybe more budget options that were a little bit older that you could have done that were interesting. But, like, I think this is a pretty sensible, like, okay, I have no qualms deal. So the very rare, not very rare, but the rare, like, yeah, I'm totally cool with this deal all around, seal of approval from me on this deal. Anyways, that's all from me on Mr. Jorrel Hato. I suspect that this deal will be announced maybe by the time this video comes out or shortly after. We got an almost here we go from Fabrizio Romano today, so we will see. Anyways, that's all from me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like Hato? Do you not like Hato? Do you have concerns? Would you rather do something else with the left back position? Do you want to bring back Ben Chilwell, the best high and wide left back in the world, before his knees turn to plasticine? As always, enjoy the soccer.